Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today the Oklahoma City Thunder crushed the Denver Nuggets 149 to 106. The Thunder break history for the most points in a first half. So just absolute killer performance. And I think you expected a bounce back for this Thunder team in game two. I predicted it. But I didn't think it was going to be this much of a bounce back. If you'd have to scroll a little bit, but about 2-3 days ago when I did my when I did my series preview and predictions, I ultimately predicted that Denver would win game one because of the rust of the Thunder, and then Denver would crush the Nuggets in game one. I didn't think it'd be this bad. I was thinking like maybe 20, 25, something like that. But then when I saw what Denver did in game one and the way they played and the way they went into Oklahoma City, I thought, well, I got the first part of that right. I don't think this is going to be I think game two is going to have to be something the Thunder, they fight for. And when I did my game preview for tonight, I said that I felt like OKC, this was going to be a game they won, but a game that they had to fight for a little bit and maybe win by in the area of 6 to 10 points. And so maybe I should have stuck with my original prediction because that would have looked really good. But just the Nuggets came out tonight and they just did not look good. It was right away. It was really bad, 36-13 to start off this game. And OKC put up 45 in the first quarter and scored the most points in the first half since the 2017 NBA Finals. The Cleveland Cavaliers put up a total of 87. Sorry, that's what the Thunder had tonight. They put up 86 in the first half. And funny, I remember that game. I remember that was the first ever NBA Finals I ever watched. Was the Cavs and Warriors 2000, not the 3-1 comeback for LeBron, but the series where Kevin Durant and Steph won for the first time together, that first championship of back-to-back for the Warriors. And I remember I wanted Cleveland to win. Not for anything of like LeBron. I just wanted to see a good series. And it was 3-0, and the Warriors just kept pounding on. Well, the first two games of that series, the Warriors killed them. And then the third game of the series, Cleveland was up big, blew a lead, and Kevin Durant hit that really famous shot in game 3. And then game 4 happens, and Cleveland gets off to this hot start, and they scored 86 points in the first half. Now, I would say this Thunder performance in the first half against Denver was a lot more impressive than Cleveland's. Well, depends on what you want to say. Like, Cleveland was playing the Golden State Warriors, that 2016-17 Warriors team that they only had one playoff loss that year. That performance that they had, that was the only game that someone beat the Golden State Warriors that postseason. But the thing I will say is that if you look at it, LeBron James and Kyrie Irving had 50 of the points. Kevin Love had 17 in that first half. Not talking about total game, we're just talking about first half. Kevin Love had 17 in the first half of that game. I think J.R. Smith had like 9. The Cavs only had 3 guys in double figures, and that's not really surprising when you look at it. They had 86, LeBron and Kyrie had 50 of it, and then Love had 17. So, 67 of those 86 points for the Cavs were LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving. Now, you want to look at the Thunder and what they did tonight? Harden, they had 6 in double figures in the first half. Hardenstein had 10. SGA had 18. Jalen Williams had 13. Lou Dort had 10. Chet had 10. Aaron Wiggins had 10. They played great basketball as a team in the first half. And so I think that's what's more impressive, their first half performance compared to the Cavaliers in 2017, which held the most points in the first half in a game in the playoffs before this. So, yeah, but all right, let's get into this, some stats of this game. I already mentioned the Thunder's amazing first half and comparing it to the 2017 Cavs and some of those things, but this was a great game for the Thunder. I think the one thing you look at this game and the one thing it makes you think is, man, were we lucky for the games we've seen in this second round before this game? Because, I think the Warriors-Timberwolves game last night that was not so good, you look at that game compared to this, and that looks like a great game. But the games we've seen in the second round before this, it's really you look at those games and the games we've seen so far in the second round compared to this, and it's just really bad because you got the first game of this series that we saw that was so amazing. We've seen both games of New York, Boston, both games of Cleveland, Indiana have been great and tight, and then the first game against Golden State, Minnesota wasn't great, but I think it was great compared to this game. This is the first game where it's like, I don't think it's very entertaining at all. Maybe you could say that about Minnesota and Golden State's game one, but I know it's a lot more entertaining than what we saw in this game tonight. But it was still really fun to see the way the Thunder played, and SGA had 34 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, even though he only played 30 minutes. Was near perfect from the floor, 11 for 13 from the floor, 1 for 2 from 3, 11 for 11 at the free throw line. Hardenstein had 14 and 8 and 5. I mentioned he had 10 in the first half, so he had 4 in the second. But keep in mind, he only played 22 minutes, did not play much in the second half. I can go look, because I took a screenshot of what the stats looked at halftime. I think I can look at how many minutes. He played 13 minutes in the first half, so he played 9 in the second. So yeah, he didn't play much in the second half. But this is the story for most. Like SGA had 18 minutes, played 12 and he played the whole third quarter. Jalen Williams played 26 minutes, 17 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. He had 16 at half, so 10 minutes played. Chet had 15 and 11, a double-double for him. Much better tonight than game one. 26 minutes for Chet. He had 16 as well at half, so 10 minutes for Chet. And then the following starter, Lou Dort, had 12 points. Not as good not as good a shooting night for Lou Dort as he had in game one. Game one, Dort was 4 for 9 from 3. Tonight it's 2 for 9, 4 for 13 from the floor for Dort. He played 27 minutes and he had 16 minutes in the first half, so 11 minutes. So outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who played the entire third quarter, there is not a single Oklahoma City Thunder that played more than 11 minutes in the second half. And this is kind of crazy to think about because the fourth quarter started and they took everybody out. Off the bench, outside of that, there's got to be some guys that scored heavy off the bench. They scored 149 as a team, didn't play any starters in the fourth quarter. 10 for Ajay Mitchell, who's a rookie. 10 for Aaron Wiggins. He was phenomenal. Hit some huge shots, had some really nice dunks. 2 for 4 from 3. 14 points for Isaiah Joe. I know Kassan Wallace had 8 points in 12 minutes. So this was a huge answer for the Thunder in game 2. Let's go over the Nuggets stats really quick. Jokic had 17, 8, and 6, fouled out. Third quarter, minute left. I'm sure he would have finished that last minute if not. But 10 points for Aaron Gordon, 5 rebounds, 14 for Jamal Murray, 19 for Russell Westbrook. He was great tonight. 5 for 11, 1 for 4 from 3, 8 for 10. He's really comfortable playing there as well. So, that's where he's played most of his career, even though he hasn't played in OKC since the 2018-19 season. Still, most of his career has been, was in OKC. 9 points for Julian Strother off the bench. And then Peyton Watson also had 9 off the bench. He was perfect from the floor. Watson was 4 for 4, 2 rebounds. Now, the one thing I'll say with the Nuggets, don't count the Nuggets out, because that's something I did in the first round. The Nuggets got trounced in Game 3 against the Clippers to go down 2-1. I wouldn't say it wasn't as bad. I think the Nuggets lost by 31 in Game 3, so not as bad. But you're comparing the Thunder to the Clippers, so 43 and 31. I don't think it's much of a difference when you're comparing one loss to the Clippers, one loss to the Thunder. Obviously, if you're going to get crushed, you're going to get crushed a lot more by the Thunder compared to the Clippers. But when that Game 3 happened, I thought the series was over. I thought the Nuggets were screwed. But the Nuggets came back and won Game 4 on the road in a huge game. Aaron Gordon had a game-winning dunk. And then they won Game 5 at home. Yes, they dropped Game 6, but it's going to be hard to win 3 in a row. And then they won Game 7. So, and crushed them in Game 7. So I really doubted the Nuggets after Game 3 was over. I said it was over, and I was wrong. So that is something I would look at. Don't count the Nuggets out. I counted the Nuggets out last round when they went down, 1-2. I wouldn't count the Nuggets out. Especially going back at home. I think if you're the Nuggets, get the Game 3 win, because and I'm kind of copying Charles Barkley what I heard him saying, but I think I probably would have said the same thing regardless. If if you get the win and you take the 2-1 lead, then all the pressure is on Oklahoma City 3 in Game 4 because, then they've got to win on the road and avoid being down 3-1. All the pressure is on OKC if you win Game 3. But all the pressure right now is on you. And so that is something that is how I'll finish it. And one more thing I do want to say is if you're Denver going back home for 2 more games, yes, I think you'd prefer to win Game 3. If you're gonna split, I think you'd prefer to win Game 3 and then lose Game 4. And not lose Game 3 and then win Game 4. But if you're Denver, you're in a position where you play really good at home. It can be tough to go and play when playing Denver when they're at home. All you've got to do is just win 1 game at home and tie the series up at 2 apiece. You cannot go down 3-1. Let me know your thoughts on this crusher for the Oklahoma City Thunder, 149-106 in the comment section, and peace out.